Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Rangers Women's Supporters Group podcast. I'm Alan and I'm joined this weekend by Car after a successful semi-final weekend. How are you doing, Car?
Yeah, a lot better than I was last week. I'm still getting over this cold, but I can talk now. Couldn't talk most of the week, so I'm doing a bit better. But turned out to be a good weekend, so can't really complain at all.
It was definitely a nervous sort of weekend going into the game, but how were you feeling going into the game?
It was funny because I said to Laura before the game I didn't really feel anything, which is kind of weird. I was almost just a little bit numb to it. I don't know if the last result against them kind of made me a bit. I don't know what it was. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't excited the other way, though. I wasn't confident. I just kind of didn't really feel anything. But then as the game started, they started to get a bit more nervous the longer it went on and we hadn't scored. But I don't know. I think maybe in my older age, I'm just getting a bit more calm about it all.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't really know what to think going into the game, but the first big sort of talking point was when we saw the team. You know, for a second week in a row, Jo has made some big calls with the team as she lined up with Vic in goals. Delighted to see Rachel McLaughlin was back in a back three with Kathy and Nick. Midfield, we had Chelsea and Liv, as we'd expected, in the middle. Mia and Brogan had the wings. Rachel Rowe played as a 10. And then the surprises came. It was Jane Ross and Sarah Ewens, starting with both Rio and Kirsty Howitt on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I expected Vic to play. She seems to be the cup keeper, so that wasn't a surprise. I was ecstatic to see Rachel start because I said that last week that has to be our back three. So I was obviously buzzing with that. But the front two was a complete mystery to me. Jane obviously scores goals and Sarah assists a lot of goals, but in a cup semi-final against them, you'd expect at least Rio or Kirsty to start. So it's a bit perplexing to say the least. But Jo does this, doesn't she? She picks a team and we all kind of go, huh? Or she makes subs and we're all a bit baffled and confused by it. But it worked out in the end. But I suppose she knows her best players and how long they've got in them. So maybe it was just a case of, well, put they two on to start with, see how the game goes, and then we've got the options coming off the bench to shore us up. So it worked out, but it was a bit surprising, eh?
I was very surprised at it myself. My personal thought was that it was a plan with the long game in mind, that Rio and Kirsty would make more of an impact coming on later in the game than swapping off day two for Jane and Sarah coming on.
Yeah, I suppose it probably was that, wasn't it? But Rio can last a whole game. So I don't know whether it's a case of she's just trying to give Jane more minutes because, in the past, Jane's been a terror against them. So maybe she thought that could play into it. I don't know. Jo does what Jo wants and we all just sit there and enjoy it.
It was certainly a very brave call by Jo, especially after leaving Nick out last week in the league. So shows a lot of faith in the players from Jo.
Yeah, I think she kind of thinks she could put any starting 11 out there and any of the subs that she brings on knows that they all know what the plan is. So it's good that they all have the same understanding of what they need to do. So she can trust them all regardless of who starts, who comes on the bench. I think it was Kirsty and Liv did a post-match after the game yesterday and said that they all have the same understanding, whether you start, whether you come off the bench, you've all got a part to play. So it's good that they all have that same collective belief in the team. But sometimes you wonder, don't you? I'd play Rio every game all the time, but it's Jo, so I'm not the manager.
No, but we all like to have our opinions.
Of course.
But the game started, and probably the first big chance was Jane making a chance out of nothing and curling one just past the post.
I mean, it looked a lot closer. We were sat at the other end of Hampden, and from where we were sitting, I thought it was millimeters away. I thought it was dead close. I thought it was for sure going in, and then I watched it back, and it was a little bit further out than it looked from where we were sitting. But if that goes in, you're just absolutely ecstatic, and the whole game kind of then falls into place. But unfortunately, it's just a little bit too wide. But good early chance is what we needed. We needed to get on top of them and put as many, crosses or shots into the box as we could and test them. So we started off the way that we should have, exactly.
Yeah, that was a shot. Jane's created that opportunity out of nothing. She had no right to get a shot away, and like you said, at the time we probably thought it was closer. Maybe it was, but that didn't really seem to materialise. It would continue having a lot of shots on goal, despite the fact that I thought we controlled the game for the duration of the first half.
Yeah, we were kind of all over them, weren't we? Like I think we needed to take more kind of longer shots though, because balls were coming to the box and they were just kind of blocking it and getting in the way. So I think we needed to do that. So that early chance, I thought that's what we were going to do for most of the game, which we kind of did towards, the second half. We did that more long range shots. Chelsea had one, but we'll come on to that. But it just didn't turn out that way. But we absolutely overran them. Liv in the midfield had Colette Kavanagh on strings until she went off. She couldn't get near her. She was falling all over the place. We just absolutely ran over the top of them. But the longer it went on without a goal, because we did this the first game against them away at Airdrie, we ran over the top of them and then they got the first goal. So you start to kind of worry a little bit, don't you? But never mind, came off in the end.
We saw more of something that Laura had pointed out about the Glasgow City game, where we were pulling in the wing backs and taking the throw ins and cutting off a lot of the space out wide. We saw that again yesterday. And you think that's a big game plan that's becoming more prevalent and more important as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think Joe's noticed that's something that we could take advantage of if you put them on the throw-ins or whatever. It then leaves space in behind to defensively shore up just in case. I hadn't noticed that until Laura pointed it out, and now I can't stop noticing it every time we get a throw-in or that. It's always Nick or whoever is on that side that's taking the throw-in. So it's exactly what you want. And it works. So Jo obviously knows what she's doing. Not that anybody's ever doubted that she knows what she's doing on our end, but it's good to see that she's made those changes throughout the season, all for the benefit of the team, and it's working. So it's good that those little tweaks are working.
100%. But the first half gave us a chance to see something that we've badly missed for most of the season, and that's the tandem work on the right hand side with Rachel and Brogan.
What a joy, isn't it? It's so good to watch they two work together because they just have such a good understanding together, and we really have missed that. Brogan works well with really anyone, but her and Rachel have a really good relationship or connection, whatever you want to call it. They work really well together, and it really was coming off at points, and we weren't using Mia's side as much. We were using Brogan's side way more, and it was working. They were getting a lot of joy down that side, so it was just so good to have her back. I don't think she expected to play as long as she did, but we'll come on to that. But didn't look like it was only her second game back. She just looked fully fit and fired up for it, as Rachel always does. But her and Brogan are such a good pair to play together, and I think we need to stick with that if Rachel's able to play as much as we hope she's able to play towards the last month of the season, because that offers us something completely different than we've had so far this season.
Oh, absolutely. And you touched on Mia being a lot quieter, but I think Mia being quiet was just because we rarely tried to find Mia on the left hand side. It was only maybe when she switched wings in the second half that she started to see a wee bit more of the ball. Was it something maybe we've targeted the left hand side of their defence, do you think?
Potentially, or maybe Joe's gone the other way and thought they're going to try and target Mia because of what a menace she is to them. So maybe we'll just use the other side, Brogan and Rachel, and everyone on that side will get more joy. But it certainly worked. So whether it is a case of they've got frailties on that side of the pitch, I don't know, because I don't watch enough of them or really know enough of their players to know who's a weakness and who's not. So potentially that, or maybe it's just a case of we were getting joy, so we just kept doing it. But we do that a lot in games. We'll use one side more than the other. So maybe it was just a case of that today we chose to use that side more than Mia's side. She had a couple of chances. We were putting long balls up in the first half, and she had a couple where she managed to get the ball and cut inside, but nothing really came of it. But doesn't matter. Everybody does their job, but we seem to use that side more, especially the first half, than we did the rest of the game.
We're far and far on top in the first half, but going in at break level, were you worried or were you quite comfortable?
I was really comfortable. I thought we absolutely overran them. I don't really think they had many chances in the first half that I can remember off the top of my head. There wasn't many. It was the first half. I think it was the first half. They had one shot and Vic palms it out and then does a backwards roll and it goes out for a corner. And that's really the only chance that I can remember. They didn't really do much and we were all running over the top of them. Great balls in. Rachel Rowe was a menace, as she always is. Needs to lift her head a little bit more. I'm starting to get on board with that a little bit more. The more I watch her this season, she does need to lift up and just play the pass a bit earlier. But Liv was absolutely running that midfield. Chelsea was, doing what Chelsea does. Rachel McLaughlin had a tremendous first half. Everyone was really up for it. And you can see how much they absolutely hate them because they were just absolutely going for it. And the rest wasn't great, there was fouls and he wasn't blowing them for us, but blowing for them. And then there was ones that probably should have been blown for and he didn't blow for them at all. It was just a bit all over the place. Came a bit chaotic at times. But that doesn't really matter at the end of the day because we were absolutely all over them. They didn't have a good game, but I think because we nullified them, not because they had an off day. I think we just absolutely nullified any threat that they had.
You talk about nullifying their threats. We're always a bit concerned when they have corners, and we saw any time they did have corners, the crowd around Vic was crazy, but I thought we defended the corners absolutely brilliantly yesterday.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I don't really know what their plan was there, because maybe they just thought someone will nudge Vic and then they'll get a chance, but it just made it more difficult for them to try and get anything out of the corner. But we just, first, maybe the ball came in, but then we just got it out straight away. It wasn't a case of that it got anywhere close, and I think there was one Vic punched, but the rest of them were just immediately swept out as soon as they got in. So that is their main thing, isn't it, though? They get corners, set plays, and it's Caitlin Hayes or Natasha Flint will score a goal from open play. That's really the only players that they've got that can create things for them, and we just absolutely wiped it out. No questions asked. So you couldn't really ask for much more. You do worry, don't you, when a corner comes in and it's them, you think, oh, here we go again. But they'll just crowd in the box and then it didn't even get there at points. So it's a waste of time on their end, really, but I'm not complaining.
Definitely not. But we didn't wait too long into the second half before we saw the subs we expected. As Rio and Kirsty came on to replace Jen and Sarah. So things started looking up, do you think, from there?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I think Joe identified that we'd get more joy with Rio and Kirsty, especially Kirsty, because you just need a long ball over the top, as we saw, and she'll get on to the end of it and create things for us. So I think it became evident that what we were trying to do wasn't working. We didn't have much joy. We were having chances, but we weren't having much joy. So I think it was the right time to make the subs, which we've not really said this season. We thought maybe Joe's waited a bit too long in games, taking a little bit, making weird subs, but I think they were the perfect subs at the perfect time, just to kind of give us that fresh legs, strikers that are going to come on and give you options there. It's exactly what we needed.
The game carried on, and we continued to have the bulk of possession in the territory, but was there getting to a point in the second half that you were starting to worry about extra time?
I think it was 75, 76 minutes that I started to think this could go all the way here, because it didn't look like anyone was going to score. We were creating chances, but not really good enough chances. There was a great save by their goalkeeper. I think it was, did I write it down? I didn't write it down. It was either Rachel Rowe or it's Chelsea. I can't remember exactly. It was a long range strike and she makes an excellent save to tip it over the bar.
Chelsea.
Yeah, it was Chelsea. It was the long range strike that would have been a wonder goal had it gone in, but she makes a great save. That was really the only clear cut chance that we had. But I thought it could potentially go all the way, but they didn't look like scoring, so I wasn't concerned on that end. We just needed to find the breakthrough, and obviously after that we did. But there was moments where I was getting a little bit worried, but then it's us, so I just kind of thought, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that Chelsea shot had us up at our seats. It looked like it was going in, but as you say, it was a great save, and then Kirsty Howitt was played through, but she maybe just stretching a wee bit for it. But soon after that,
it was sorry, Alan.
go for it.
Yeah, that Kirsty one, it was just a little bit too much, and then she kind of hit it, but there wasn't enough on it for the keeper. But that's what I think that was the plan. Just play balls through to Kirsty, and she'll get on the end of things, or create the space, because space was opening up for the likes of Chelsea, Rachel Rowe, Kirsty, to get on the end of things. So I think that probably was the plan.
Wasn't long after that, but we were starting to get more corners, and it's something we're not used to as Rangers fans. But talk us through the first goal from a
Well,
corner.
we actually took a long corner for a change. It wasn't a short corner because we must have had about 12 corners the whole game, and we're playing them short, playing balls, and it wasn't happening. But Rachel Rowe steps up. We thought maybe Lizzie would take it because I'm sure Lizzie was on at that point. Was she? Am I talking
Yeah,
rubbish?
Lizzie was on at that point.
Aye. So I
Lizzie
think we
came on
said
for Brogan, surprisingly.
give it to Lizzie because she's good at corners from that side. But Rachel Rowe took it, and Chelsea leaps up and beautiful header straight into the back of the net. Couldn't ask for a better header. And you can see how much it meant for her. Running straight over, knees sliding, slapping the badge, and just absolutely buzzing in front of all the Rangers fans that were there. And, obviously she scored from a corner a couple of weeks ago, but not exactly the way that she probably wanted to, but they all count. But that one's just pinpoint accuracy. There's players round her, but nobody gets, to the ball. And she just straight up heads it in, places it where it needs to go, and is straight over celebrating. And then you just relax a bit, don't you? The relief and the joy when that went in. Me and Laura looked at each other and thought we were going to cry because we were just that relieved, because the longer it went on, you kind of thought, oh, God. But for the first time this season, we score first against them. We don't give them an early goal, and we go and settle everybody down. And you could just see the relief in the team. I think everybody relaxed and started to play football because they were sucking us into not playing football and just hoofing it balls in the air instead of actually just getting it on the ground and playing football. But what a joy that goal was. I'm sure that'll live long in Chelsea's memory for the rest of her career because it was such a beautiful header.
Oh, absolutely. And the celebration absolutely merited the magnitude in the goal. But you mentioned Lizzie had come on. By that point, she'd come on for Brogan, and Tess had also come on for Rachel just before the goal. And Rachel making it to 80 minutes was absolutely brilliant on the first start.
Yeah, I don't think she wanted to play that long. We spoke to her after the game, and I don't know if it was you or who it was that said to her, "Did you want to play that long?" She said, "No, I was blowing." I think she was exhausted and struggling a wee bit. Not that she looked like she was. I thought she'd probably play the whole game, but Rachel's the kind of player that she'd play 200 minutes of football because she just loves playing football. But I think it was a good sub. We don't have many options there. Lisa was on the bench, but her knee all strapped up, but she said she's fine, but I don't know if she's quite fully fit. So obviously Tess was the one to come on. The Brogan sub, I was a bit confused by it because I thought maybe it was going to be Mia because Brogan was having such a good game. But then speaking to Brogan after the game, she said she was struggling a little bit. So it makes sense. So what do I know again? I'm not the manager. But it worked out in the end, didn't it, though, with Tess coming on, and just, you can ask for better.
No, it was important to mention Tess being on the park because it was her long ball that just saw us in comfort for the rest of the injury time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realise quite how long it was, like watching it in the stadium. I mean, terrific goal, but watching it back, Tess is basically at our box. She just gets the ball off Vic and just absolutely launches it, and it kind of takes, I don't know, I'm not good with football terms. It dips and it comes off Kelly Clark, their captain's head. Because initially I thought Kirsty Howitt was offside, but she's not. I've watched it back about 12 times now, and she's not. But it comes off Kelly Clark's head, and then Kirsty's just in the perfect position to get the ball and just chips it over their keeper, who for some reason dives backwards. I'm not really sure what she's doing. If she stood up, she probably could have caught it, but I'm glad that she didn't, to be honest. Dive backwards all you want, him, because it worked out perfectly for us. And she just chips it over and then just immediately comes running over. And you're comfortable then. The game's dead at that point because it's like the 89th minute. So you know it's over at that point, and just it puts the icing on the cake, doesn't it? It's Kirsty Howitt, staunch as she comes, scoring in the semi-final against them for us. Absolutely loving life. you can ask for better. But that ball from Tess was just pinpoint perfect. And I've criticised Tess a lot recently, but she's just absolutely shut me up doing that, playing that ball over the top to Kirsty Howe. It's exactly what you want from her.
Absolutely, and what a time for Kirsty Howitt to score her 20th goal in the season.
Her 20th, that's crazy, considering like she was out for so long. That's Kirsty Howitt, isn't it? That's what she does. She scores goals, and we're going to need it in this running. And this, well, it's nearly May now, so the last month of the season is going to be critical, having all our strikers fit and firing. So, what time for her to do it? Incredible.
Listen, that's why she wears the number 9 on her back. You know, Kirsty Howitt in the team, and she'll score goals. But you know, that, as we said, that just made it comfortable. There's never got to be a massive amount of injury time. There's nothing in the game that would have merited a huge amount, and 3 minutes went up on the board. Then it was just a case of managing the game for the last few minutes.
Yeah, I think they had a corner just before full time, and you're not worried because they score, they're not got enough time to go and score another one and take it to extra time. So we're just cruising at that point. But everyone was still flying into tackles, and Rachel Rowe was still, I think she still created a chance after that. Exactly what you want from the team, and you can see how much it meant to them all after the game. Well, just at full time, even the celebrations, everyone was just loving life. Exactly what you want, especially when, not that long ago we've lost to them, which is probably fresh in their minds. So it's exactly what you need to do, especially considering I was going to say a week Monday, that we play them again at home. So it's exactly what the team need, the confidence and belief that we can absolutely beat them when we're on our day and we're at our best. Joe says it, we are the best team in this country when we're on our day.
Not just looking back at the game we lost at Airdrie against them recently, but after losing the Scottish Cup final at Hampden against them last year, do you think that just fires up the team even more and erases some demons?
Yeah, I think for the ones still here from last season, it probably does. The likes of Kathy Hill, Nick, even Rachel to some extent. Obviously the disappointment of losing it against them will be fresh in the memories. But for the ones that have just come in this season, you'd think they'd played it last season because of how much they seem to hate them and how much it gets fired up to play against them. Rachel Rowe, Rio. Obviously, Kirsty doesn't need any kind of encouragement to get fired up to play for Rangers, regardless who's playing, but especially against them. So it's good to see what Joe's done for the team, the collective togetherness that she's created in the team. There's no divisions, there's no groups. It's everyone's for the same cause and everyone believes it. So it's just good to see that everyone's, enjoying it rather than the disappointment of last season. Because when we got to this point last season, you're thinking, we got close and then it just didn't happen. And then obviously after the Hearts defeat last Wednesday, you're thinking, oh, here we go again. But not to be, we're fine. Everyone's settled down, it's fine. We're going into a final now and we're going into the last month, chasing. I'm not going to say the word, but chasing. And everyone believes it. I think all the team really do believe that they can go and do it.
So on yesterday, who's your player of the match? I know the sponsors gave it to Rachel Rowe, but did you agree or disagree?
No, I think that's kind of harsh on Liv, to be honest. I thought Olivia McLaughlin, I don't know, I'm giving her a full Sunday name, but I thought Liv had a great game. She absolutely ran the show in the midfield. Her and Chelsea worked so well together. I thought she was absolutely tremendous. Considering I was a little bit wary when she first came in, I thought, I don't know if she's going to fit in here. I don't know if she knows what she's meant to do, but she just absolutely ran the show in the midfield yesterday. It was between her and Chelsea, and that is harsh on Rachel McLaughlin, as much as I want to give it to her because she had a tremendous game. I think it's unfair. So for me, it's Liv. She was just absolutely outstanding. So if we can get another loan signing of her next season, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, you're quite right to absolutely praise Liv to the moon. As I said to her after the game, she's coming on leaps and bounds since she came into the team. This loan has been absolutely brilliant for Liv. I've no doubt about that. I haven't seen how much she's developed and how much she's having an impact on games. But I think it was a toss-up between her and Chelsea for player of the match. And I'd lean towards Chelsea just because she's topped it off with that goal. And it's not just a goal added onto a 2 or a 3 goal win. That's the goal that's won us the game. So I'd have to give it to Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that because for me it was between those two. The goal's outstanding, but I kept watching Liv the whole game, and she was just technically she's so good. Not that Chelsea's not. Chelsea's an incredible player too, but I think you could probably ask 60 people and they'd all give you a different answer because the whole team was outstanding yesterday. So no arguments for me there.
No, definitely not. We know it's the Player of the Year awards tonight are with the club. So who do you think's getting the Player of the Year and the Players' Player?
I mean, Rachel Rowe probably, or Rio. Like the players, I think. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't realise that was tonight, by the way. I thought that was way later in the season. I didn't realise that was tonight. But I feel like Rachel Rowe will win one of them. Young Player of the Year, if that's an option, will be Mia. 100%
It's
will
actually
be.
not. Or I saw the list. I was sent that today, and the only awards up for a women's team are players' player, and goalie of the season.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe they do that at the end of this season, then when they have the one that the fans can go to. I don't know, but I feel like it's either going to be Rio or it's going to be Rachel Rowe for one or probably both of them. I think Rio might win Player of the Year, and then Rachel Rowe probably win Players' Player of the Year.
Quite possibly. Personally, I'd say Rio deserves it. She's been signed as the main striker up top. The big signing this summer, and she's scored goals in the biggest games at the most important times. So I think we are where we are, in no small part thanks to Rio Hardy. But I think Chelsea is absolutely deservedly up there, as is Cathy Hill. You've obviously touched on, why Rachel Rowe's probably a favourite to win it, but all four of them have had unbelievable seasons, and not a discount what Mia McCall has done as a young player, and Nick having played in every single game this season. So it will be well deserved to whoever takes the awards home.
Yeah, and our votes are out at the moment. You can look on the Twitter page on the website. I'm sure it's on the website, not 100% sure, for Goal of the Season, Player of the Year. I think that's it is. Goal of the Season, there's 6 to choose from, and then Player of the Year, which is based on after every game we do the vote on Twitter for Player of the Game, and then they're all tallied up, and whoever's got the most votes for each month then gets put into the Player of the Year award. So get voting, folks. I know we've had a heck of a lot of votes, way more than we got last year, so it's good to see how much we've grown already this season compared to last season with the amount of votes we had, but it's still open. So get voting, folks, for whoever you want to win it. But there's some cracking goals on there, by the way. I don't know if you've looked at it yet, but it was difficult to choose. It was hard to pick because we had about 6 Mia goals alone to pick from to who to decide goes in. But they're also up for them, so I'm sure the players that win those will be very happy to win them. Probably not as much as the official Rangers ones, but I'm sure they look for it.
I'm sure they'll be delighted, but I was back at Hampden today, and I watched the second semi-final. Hearts ran out 3-0 winners over Spartans, so we've got yet another game against Hearts to look forward to. This time it will be at Hampden on the 26th of May.
Yeah, I think they were feeling left out with the amount that we played Hibs last month, so maybe just to top it off, we're now playing Hearts 3 times in May, well, end of April, start May time, but Hearts will be well up for it. They're a well-oiled team. They're very physical. They know how to play football. They've got proven goal scorers in their team, so they're going to give us a right good game. And I think maybe, obviously, we play them this coming Wednesday, so we've got a chance to get retribution for the last Wednesday we played them. But it's definitely going to be an interesting game, and hopefully we get a good crowd in, because the crowd yesterday, it was good, but it wasn't great. I expected a lot more than were there, so hopefully for the final both fan bases show up in their numbers, and obviously we go and win it, but it'd be good for Hearts because I believe that's their first ever women's final that they've ever got in. So it's quite an achievement for them considering where they were a couple of 2 or 3 seasons ago. They nearly went down, but because the season got wiped because of COVID, they never went down, and now they're sitting top 6 very comfortably in 4th for 2 seasons in a row, doing really well now into a cup final. So it's good for the league, but I don't know, as long as we go and smash them, I'm not caring. So that's my praise for Hearts done.
Certainly Hearts are due a lot of praise. You know, they've come on leaps and bounds, and I believe they'll be 100% full time for next season. So, you know, Hearts are only got to continue to grow. But it's a good link because we obviously play them on Wednesday night at Broadwood. It's a 8:10 kickoff. So anybody wanting to get along and support the team, you know, my team will greatly appreciate any support as we chase this title. But how are you feeling ahead of the game?
I'm very confident now because if we can go and run over the top of Celtic at Hampden and go and win a semi-final, we should have no qualms about beating Hearts at home, you know, in our pitch. But, you know, after the Hibs games and then, you know, few games where it's been a bit touch and go, but I think this will just fully boost the confidence of the team that they can go and do it, get an early goal, settle everyone down, and they'll be right up for it. But you know, there is part of me that's worried purely just because they beat us already, but we weren't on it. We didn't have a good game. None of the players, well, not none of them, a few of them showed up, but a few of them didn't. So we need to just fully be on it now till the end of the season. Every game, you can't relax a little bit. You have to go and give your all every game. So they do that on Wednesday, we'll be absolutely fine. But there's still part of me that's a little bit worried.
Is there anything that we can learn from beating Glasgow City comfortably to going and losing against Hearts in midweek that we don't repeat that this week?
Defensively, we need to be better. If balls come down the middle of the park, somebody needs to cut it out before it gets to the back line. Somebody in the midfield needs to just take control. And also, you know, centre back, whoever it may be, whoever's in the middle, whether it be Cathy, whether it be Tess, needs to be stronger there. They need to cut that out before it gets to presumably Jenna, who'll be back in goal. We just need to be a bit stronger and just not let it get to that point, because that has been the last few goals that have caught us out. So that needs to be the aim. Don't let it get to that point. Just cut it out. Yeah, I think that's the main thing.
I think the main thing is when we're playing well, we actually take our chances, because we should have been out of sight at Hearts, you know, and just too many shots straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think the bigger pitch helps us though, being at Broadwood, because obviously the Oriel, I don't know if it actually is, but I think it feels smaller. So I'm assuming it is a little bit smaller than our pitch. So I think the big pitch does help us.
It certainly should, and our familiarity with playing on the pitch as well should be a bonus. But do you see many changes to the team? You've obviously mentioned you expect Jenna to come back in.
Yeah, I assume Jenna will be back in just because she seems to be the league keeper, which no qualms there really. Vic's a great keeper, Jenna's a keeper. So it doesn't really matter who plays. We all need to just try in and get on with it. But I don't know. I don't know if Rachel will start. I don't know if maybe 80 minutes maybe took it out of her being it quite close, you know, Saturday to Wednesday. Maybe that'll be too much for her. So maybe Tess will be back in there in the back line. I'd assume Rio would start, or Kirsty, or maybe both. I don't know. I don't think it'll be Jane and Sarah that'll start, but you never know. With Jo, she might pick the same team that started on Saturday. You don't know, but I'd like to see Ailey get more minutes, but I don't see that happening, especially with Rachel being back now. But you could probably play her in midfield and give Chelsea or Liv a bit of a rest, because they've been, you know, playing so much this season so far. So you never know, but I don't foresee a wholesale change like we did going into the Partick game from the Hearts game before it.
I did see Rachel after the semi-final today, and she was surprisingly not feeling too bad. So she's a wee bit worried about how she'll feel tomorrow, because it's always the second day. But you know, she was in good spirits. So you know, I do think she might be sort of starting on the bench, kind of with one eye to next Monday, and just make sure we responsibly build our minutes. But I think we might see Lizzie rotate in for Mia, just manage your minutes of wide players with 2 games a week. But I don't think we'll see a massive amount of changes. But you got a prediction for a score?
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about it, to be honest. I'll probably 3-0. 3-0 would be fine. Lizzie Arnott with the first goal.
Good shout. I'll say 2-0. I'll be more conservative than I usually am. Once Chelsea starts scoring, she tends to start scoring a lot. So we'll go with Chelsea to score first.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be very happy with that because she did start the season scoring a lot of goals. So hopefully she can end the season scoring a goal in every game. That would be quite nice for her.
But looking ahead, hopefully we'll see Kirsty McLean before the end of the season. It'd be nice to see her make it back in time for the cup final, a bit like Kirsty Howitt made it back for the cup final at Tynecastle.
It would be good to see her back because she's obviously, she's not fine, but we saw her after the game yesterday and she was jogging down the stairs and I was a little bit like, don't, just walk very carefully, one step at a time, hold on to the handrail because I didn't want her to hurt herself. But she was like, well, I'm back running again. So she's obviously not back fully training yet. She's not at that point yet, but she's obviously in good spirits. So it would be good to see her back towards the end of the season, whether it be last game of the season or cup final. But, if it's not to be, it's not to be. But you can see just how much she means to everyone. Like when Kirsty scored yesterday, she looked up at her and she's doing the ×2 thing, Kirsty ×2. So you can see that she's got a massive impact on the team and everybody loves her for it. So it'd be great to see her back. But if she's not fully fit, then she can just sign a contract extension for another season, get back to full fitness with us for next season. And then if she wants, she can then go further afield if she wants. But hopefully we get her for next season again and she can go and get a bit of retribution for not being able to play this last wee while with us winning things.
Yeah, when I saw her last week at Petershill, she was asking how we can do this every week because I don't think she's enjoying watching games and not being able to take part.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a player say that to you before, so it's obvious that she's not really had many injury worries in her career, that she's not had to sit out and watch a lot of games, which it's good. It's good as a young player that she's not had many injuries, but it certainly is stressful at times watching the team, so I can see where she's coming from. So hopefully we get her back on the pitch soon and get everybody in for the last few games of the season, but we'll wait and see what happens.
Definitely, but hopefully see plenty of people at Broadwood on Wednesday. I know it does clash with the Youth Cup final, but I'm hopeful we'll get a big support and show the team that we're all behind him. In terms of our sort of group activity, the predictor for the midweek games is up on the Facebook page, and Carl's been given a new idea for some merch.
Yeah, and I didn't realise it would be quite so popular, to be honest, because for me, Crocs aren't my thing, but they seem to be a lot of people's things. So we're looking into getting some Croc charms, I believe they're called, made, so little things that go in the holes in the Crocs. So we've inquired about that, so I'm just waiting to hear back. So they should be at some point available, so we'll get them up on the page when they're when they're here. But certainly not something that I ever envisioned being asked to get made for the group. But bucket hats and bucket hats here, sold a few yesterday, plenty of scarves still left, and bobble hats. Hopefully we won't be needing them for the rest of the season. Hopefully the weather's a bit better now.
Take nothing for granted with this weather.
It could be snowing next week, you never know. Hope not.
But unless there's anything else from you, Car, I'll say thank you very much for your company, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Just the loan report, because we never did that.
Oh, yes. No.
Not as much to report on, because there was only 2 other of our players playing this weekend. But Summer Laird, I think, played approximately 5 minutes at the end of the game today. Obviously, they were playing Hearts today and lost 3-0. Mason played, I believe, the full 90 minutes against Dundee United and scored the equalising goal at Tannadice. So that must have been some buzz for her, but unfortunately they'd lost to a last-minute winner from one of the Dundee United players to lose 2-1. But other than that, that was all.
Yeah, my bad for missing that out, especially after we spoke about it before we started recording.
But Mason's doing really well, scoring goals for fun these days, so it's good to see. I haven't seen the goal back yet, but I believe that it was a rebound, which is always good, getting in and around that area and score goals. And she seems to be enjoying herself as much as they're losing a lot of games and they're in a relegation fight, but she's certainly showing what she can bring to a team when she's in it, so it's good to see.
No, absolutely. Mason's obviously on loan at a team that struggled all season, so she's having to learn how to make an impact with not a lot of the ball. And the fact that she scored quite a number of goals and got quite a few assists in a struggling team, speaks volumes for how well she's done on loan.
Certainly has. Imagine better players around her. Not saying anything against the Aki's players, but in a Rangers team with service and players around her and a team that wins things, she's going to absolutely thrive. So I'm very much looking forward to hopefully seeing her play for us and scoring a lot of goals for us, because that would just be fantastic. She's such a fantastic wee young player, but you never know what will happen. So I just hope that she is with us next season.
Absolutely, and that's a great note to end it on. But if you see us at games, want to know anything, just come up and chat to us. We're usually quite easy to find. So enjoy your night. Enjoy the fact that we're into the cup final and we've got 6 cup finals left to go and win the lot. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Cheers, Car.
Cheers off.